You're watching DX Movie Shorts, the place where we break down movies fast, clear, and spoiler-packed. Whether you missed it, forgot it, or just want a quick refresh, we've got you covered. Let's get into the story. With General Ross and the U.S. Army still hunting him, Bruce Banner has disappeared into the crowded favelas of Brazil, determined to stay hidden. Every day, he practices speaking Portuguese to erase his American accent and works tirelessly on controlling his emotions, knowing that a single mistake could unleash the monster inside him. To survive, Bruce works at a soft drink factory, spending his days on the conveyor line. His boss knows he's exceptionally intelligent and constantly calls him whenever a machine breaks down. One day, while repairing a treadmill control system, Bruce accidentally cuts his finger. A single drop of blood falls through the machinery and disappears below. Instantly panicked, he orders the entire production line to be shut down and rushes to clean the area with a handkerchief. But despite his efforts, he misses one contaminated bottle. The bottle is filled with soda, packaged, and shipped all the way to the United States. Without realizing it, Bruce's blood has just left Brazil. Later, while walking back to work, Bruce notices a group of men harassing one of his co-workers. Wanting no trouble, he initially keeps walking and pretends he didn't see anything. But his conscience won't let him ignore it. He turns back and asks if everything is okay. The gang leader immediately attacks him. Fortunately, the factory owner intervenes and manages to break up the confrontation before things escalate. After work, Bruce meets a smuggler who delivers a package containing an extremely rare plant. Excited, Bruce rushes home and contacts a mysterious scientist known only as Mr. Blue through his computer. Mr. Blue has been helping Bruce search for a cure to stop his transformations. After hearing about the plant, Mr. Blue recommends using larger doses in the experiment and tells Bruce he'll wait for the results. Bruce carefully extracts a drop of his blood and places it under a microscope. At first, the contaminated cells appear cured, but then the gamma radiation returns. The experiment has failed. Although disappointed, Mr. Blue insists he can still help and asks Bruce to send him a blood sample. Even though Bruce finds the request suspicious, he agrees and sends it anyway. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, a major informs General Ross about a strange gamma contamination incident involving a man who drank a bottle of soda. The moment Ross hears this, he knows exactly what it means. Bruce Banner has been found. Ross immediately orders a military team to Brazil. During the flight, Ross briefs his men. One soldier in particular, Emil Blonsky, asks whether their target is some kind of combat specialist. Ross replies that Banner is a fugitive who stole military secrets and was involved in multiple deaths. But most importantly, he tells them one thing: capture him alive. Back in Brazil, Bruce receives another message from Mr. Blue. The scientist claims he has successfully reduced the radiation levels, giving Bruce a brief sense of hope. But then Mr. Blue asks for data from the original accident. Frustrated, Bruce explains that he no longer has the information. It's back in the United States. That night, soldiers quietly surround Bruce's home. Fortunately, his dog senses the danger and wakes him up. Realizing he's been found, Bruce escapes moments before the military blows the door off its hinges and fires tranquilizer darts into his bed, but he's already gone. Blonsky quickly begins tracking him through the jungle and eventually spots him standing on a cliff deep within the favela. A desperate chase begins. As Bruce runs, his heart rate starts rising dangerously fast. He nearly loses control. For a moment, it seems the Hulk is about to emerge. But Bruce manages to calm himself down and lower his pulse. Just then, Blonsky appears and takes aim. Bruce immediately turns and runs. Unfortunately, he crashes into the same troublemakers from the factory, who decide to chase him as well. Now hunted by both the military and a gang of angry workers, Bruce races toward the soda factory. Inside, he desperately tries to stay calm. But with soldiers surrounding him and multiple attackers closing in, it's impossible. The workers corner him, throw away his backpack, and begin beating him mercilessly. Outside, soldiers attempt to shoot him with tranquilizer darts, but the attackers keep getting in the way. Bruce's heart rate finally passes 200 beats per minute, and that's when it happens. The Hulk emerges. With a single strike, he launches the gang leader completely through the factory. The remaining workers panic and flee in terror. Ross immediately orders his men to use tranquilizers, but the darts simply bounce off Hulk's nearly indestructible skin. Realizing conventional methods won't work, the soldiers switch to live ammunition. The result is exactly the same. The bullets do absolutely nothing. One desperate soldier throws a grenade. Unfortunately, the explosion only makes Hulk even angrier. Roaring with rage, He rips a massive soda tank from its mountings and hurls it directly at the troops. As Hulk attempts to escape, Blonsky opens fire from an elevated platform. The bullets have no effect. Enraged, Hulk lets out a terrifying roar and throws a forklift straight at him. Blonsky narrowly avoids being crushed. Despite his fury, Hulk doesn't continue the attack. Instead, he smashes a hole through the wall and escapes into the wilderness, virtually unharmed. After the chaos, Ross and Blonsky search Bruce's home. Only then does Blonsky finally understand the truth. The giant green monster was their target all along. Back in the United States, Blonsky confronts Ross and tells him that hiding information from his own men is reckless. He insists they need a specialized team capable of fighting the Hulk and volunteers to lead it himself. The next morning, Bruce wakes up deep in a forest. After reaching the nearest road, he discovers something unbelievable. He has somehow crossed into Guatemala. Using hitchhiking and sheer determination, Bruce eventually makes his way back to the United States. His destination is Culver University. There, Dr. Elizabeth Ross. His former love is teaching cellular biology. Bruce waits outside campus, hoping to see her again. But when Elizabeth finally arrives, she's accompanied by another man. Heartbroken, Bruce decides not to approach her. Instead, he heads to Stanley's Pizzeria, where he plans to stay for a few days. Soon, he comes up with a plan. Using pizzas as a disguise, Bruce pretends to be a delivery driver and sneaks into the university. Once inside, he accesses the school's computer system using Betty's credentials. However, every record connected to his accident has been erased. Someone has wiped the database clean. Bruce contacts Mr. Blue and admits that he still can't recover the information. He'll have to keep searching. Later, while preparing to leave, fate intervenes. Elizabeth arrives at the pizzeria with her new boyfriend. As Bruce heads downstairs to say goodbye to Stanley, Betty spots him. Shocked, she immediately follows him outside. Bruce hides behind a dumpster, hoping to avoid her. But after speaking with Stanley, Betty refuses to let him disappear again. As rain pours from the sky, Bruce walks down the street trying to hitchhike. Nobody stops, except Betty. She takes him home and reveals something incredible. Before the army encrypted everything, she secretly copied the accident files onto a USB drive. Meanwhile, Ross discusses Banner's experiments with Blonsky. The veteran soldier then requests something extraordinary. He wants to test an experimental version of the super soldier serum. Most of the original formula was lost after World War II, but Ross still possesses a modified version developed through Stark Industries research. Ross agrees. The serum is injected directly into Blonsky's neck and bone marrow. The procedure is agonizing, but he survives. The following morning, Bruce and Betty head to the university. As they prepare to separate, Bruce notices military forces arriving. Ross has found them. Not wanting Betty to get hurt, Bruce immediately runs. Soldiers flood the campus and pursue him through the corridors. Eventually, Bruce becomes trapped inside a passageway. The military launches tranquilizer gas canisters in an attempt to subdue him. Instead, they trigger exactly what they feared. The Hulk returns. The moment Ross sees the gigantic green creature, he orders all units to open fire. Heavy weapons, armor-piercing rounds, even a powerful .50 caliber machine gun. Nothing works. Hulk tears through armored vehicles as if they're made of paper. Soldiers are thrown aside while explosions erupt throughout the battlefield. Desperate, Ross orders Blonsky into action with a grenade launcher. Thinking quickly, Hulk rips apart armored vehicles and uses the metal wreckage as giant shields, blocking the incoming blasts. Yet Blonsky keeps advancing. Even after running out of grenades, he draws a pistol and charges directly at the monster. Of course, the bullets do nothing. Finally, Ross gives a new order. Lead Hulk toward the experimental hypersonic cannons. Using the enhanced speed granted by the serum, Blonsky stays just ahead of the enraged giant and successfully lures him into range of the devastating weapons. The experimental sonic cannons unleash devastating frequency waves powerful enough to distort the very air around the Hulk. The pain is unimaginable. For a brief moment, it looks like the giant has finally been stopped, but Hulk refuses to stay down. Roaring in fury, he forces himself back to his feet and charges forward, smashing both cannons to pieces with the massive metal shields he ripped from the armored vehicles. Even after witnessing that display of power, Emil Blonsky refuses to retreat. Ignoring General Ross's direct orders, he grabs an M4 rifle and advances toward the monster, determined to prove himself. The challenge lasts only seconds. Hulk delivers a devastating blow that sends Blonsky flying through the air and crashing violently into a nearby tree. With air support now arriving, Ross orders all remaining troops to fall back. Meanwhile, Hulk's attention shifts to Betty Ross. As he approaches her, military helicopters open fire on the giant, despite her being dangerously close to him. Rather than attacking, Hulk shields Betty with his own body. Knowing the helicopters will never stop, Hulk hurls one of his giant metal shields into the air. The projectile slices through a helicopter, tearing it apart and sending it crashing directly toward them. The wreckage explodes upon impact. Yet even in the middle of the inferno, Hulk wraps himself around Betty, protecting her from the flames until the danger passes. Afterward, he carries her away to a secluded cave far from the battlefield. Still trapped in Hulk form, Bruce struggles to control himself. His instincts are running wild. At one point, he even tries to protect Betty from the rain itself. Only Betty's gentle voice is capable of calming the raging monster. Back at the military hospital, Ross visits Blonsky. Nearly every bone in the soldier's body has been shattered. Yet something extraordinary is happening. The super soldier serum is already accelerating his recovery. Despite injuries that should take months to heal, Blonsky is soon able to move. The following morning, Betty wakes up beside Bruce, who has finally returned to human form. She takes him to a nearby hotel where he can safely recover. At the same time, Ross returns to check on Blonsky and is stunned to discover that every fracture has healed in less than 24 hours. Both Bruce and Blonsky are recovering far faster than normal humans should. Once Bruce regains his strength, he contacts Betty and prepares for the next stage of their journey. Together, they stop at a gas station where Bruce uses a computer to send all of his research data to Mr. Blue. The message is simple: it's finally time to meet. Unfortunately, the military traces the communication and discovers Mr. Blue's true identity. His real name is Samuel Stearns, and he lives in New York City. While Bruce and Betty travel toward New York, Blonsky becomes obsessed with matching Hulk's power. Against all reason, he secretly takes another dose of the super soldier serum. The additional serum begins causing dangerous mutations throughout his body. Meanwhile, Bruce and Betty encounter a police checkpoint at the entrance to the city. Not wanting to risk capture, they abandon the roads entirely. Instead, they travel through a harbor and board a boat headed for Manhattan. Even after arriving, they are still far from Stearns' location. The pair eventually hail a taxi. Unfortunately, the driver mistakes Bruce for a terrorist and begins acting suspiciously. The tension nearly causes Bruce to transform right there inside the vehicle. Thankfully, he manages to stay calm. Soon, they finally arrive at Samuel Stearns' laboratory. Meeting Bruce in person, Stearns explains that he may have a cure. However, there is a serious risk. If the treatment overloads Bruce's system, it could kill him. Bruce doesn't hesitate for even a second. He immediately agrees. At the same time, Blonsky hides his growing mutations from General Ross, fearing he will be removed from active duty. Back in the laboratory, Stearns straps Bruce to a medical table and begins the procedure. An electrical shock triggers the transformation process. As they wait for Hulk to reach the necessary stage, Stearns accidentally loses control of the equipment and is knocked away from the controls. The injection sequence is interrupted. Within moments, Hulk emerges. The giant monster is fully unleashed inside the laboratory. To stop him from destroying everything, Betty throws herself in front of Hulk and desperately tries to calm him down. Meanwhile, Stearns scrambles back to the computer. Working frantically, he finally regains control of the system. At the last possible second, the cure is injected. The transformation reverses. Bruce Banner returns. When Bruce regains consciousness, Betty believes the nightmare is finally over. But Stearns isn't convinced. He explains that the treatment may have only suppressed the condition, just as it did with previous test subjects. Bruce immediately focuses on one alarming detail: previous test subjects. Demanding answers, he follows Stearns into another room. There, he discovers dozens of samples created from his blood. Stearns reveals that he has successfully replicated portions of Hulk's cells and hopes to use them to cure countless diseases. Bruce is horrified. He knows exactly what the military would do with that technology. According to him, they would never use it for medicine. They would use it to create an army of Hulks. Bruce insists that every sample must be destroyed immediately. Outside the laboratory, military forces quietly surround the building and wait for Ross's orders. But Blonsky has completely lost control of himself. Ignoring every command, he advances on the lab alone. At that very moment, a sniper sees an opportunity. A tranquilizer dart strikes Bruce in the back. As Banner begins losing consciousness, Blonsky storms into the room. He violently shoves Betty aside and attacks Stearns. Desperate to trigger another transformation, he expects Bruce to become the Hulk. but the cure is working. Bruce simply collapses unconscious. The military takes him into custody. Meanwhile, Ross's second-in-command begins questioning Stearns. Before she can get answers, Blonsky strikes her from behind and knocks her unconscious. With no one left to stop him, he points a gun directly at Stearns. His demand is simple: make me like the Hulk. Faced with no alternative, Stearns agrees. Using a blood sample containing only 14% Hulk DNA, he begins the procedure. The experiment works, but not in the way anyone expected. Blonsky mutates into a horrifying creature known as the Abomination. Stronger, faster, and far more unstable than Hulk. The newly created monster immediately leaps out of the building and begins rampaging through New York City. He attacks everyone in sight: civilians, soldiers, even his own allies. After suffering heavy casualties, a sergeant contacts Ross and reports that a Hulk-like monster is destroying the city. Confused, Ross insists Bruce is already secured aboard a helicopter. He orders live helmet footage to be transmitted. The moment he sees the creature, Ross realizes the horrifying truth. Blonsky has become something even worse. On the streets below, soldiers discover that conventional weapons are useless. One team launches a rocket. The Abomination casually catches it, then laughs as it explodes in his hand. The monster begins hunting fleeing soldiers through the crowded streets. Traffic jams trap countless people in his path. Several vehicles are crushed like toys. From the helicopter, Ross orders every available weapon to be deployed. Bruce immediately tells him it won't matter. Nothing they have can stop that creature. Only Hulk can. Knowing he may not transform willingly, Bruce asks for the helicopter door to be opened. He shares an emotional goodbye with Betty, then jumps, thousands of feet above the city. For several terrifying seconds, nothing happens. Bruce simply falls. Then he slams into the street below. The pavement explodes outward. Moments later, Hulk emerges from the crater. The city now has its champion. Seeing his rival, Abomination charges forward. Hulk does the same. Both giants leap toward one another. The collision shakes the entire street. However, Abomination quickly gains the upper hand and sends Hulk crashing into the ground. Thinking fast, Hulk tears a car apart and uses the wreckage like oversized boxing gloves. He smashes Abomination directly in the face. The attack barely slows him down. Abomination responds with a brutal kick that launches Hulk through the area before pursuing him into a nearby building. Above them, Ross orders his sniper team to support Hulk. Gunfire forces Abomination across the rooftops as he dodges incoming rounds. The helicopter moves dangerously close to the battle. Suddenly, Abomination leaps onto the aircraft. The pilot struggles to maintain control. At the very last second, Hulk launches himself after the monster and lands inside the helicopter as well. The impact destroys the aircraft. The helicopter spirals toward the ground. Both monsters crash with it. As the wreckage settles, Hulk immediately thinks of Betty. But Abomination is still standing. The fight isn't over. Fuel pours from the destroyed helicopter. Sparks ignite the leaking gasoline. Flames begin spreading rapidly. Desperate to save Betty, Hulk attacks. But Abomination pins him against a wall and repeatedly overwhelms him. Then, using the sharpened bone protruding from his elbow, the monster drives it directly into Hulk's chest. The injury is devastating. The fire grows larger. The danger becomes greater. And Hulk becomes angrier. Far angrier. Drawing upon that rage, Hulk finally breaks free and hurls Abomination away. He rushes to the burning wreckage and extinguishes the flames with a massive clap of his hands. The blast saves everyone nearby, but the momentary distraction gives Abomination an opening. The villain attacks again, this time wielding a massive chain. After knocking Hulk down, Abomination mocks him. "What are your last words?" Bruce's answer is simple: Hulk, smash. Hulk slams both fists into the ground. The shockwave tears open the street and creates a massive crater. Abomination loses his footing. The chain slips free. Immediately, Hulk turns the weapon against him. As the villain struggles, Hulk rips the bone spike from Abomination's elbow and drives it into his chest. Then he wraps the chain around his throat and begins choking him. For the first time, Abomination is truly helpless. Just before Hulk kills him, Betty arrives. She begs him to stop, and he listens. Hulk releases his enemy, but not before delivering one final kick that sends Abomination crashing directly into General Ross. The battle is finally over. As the dust settles, Betty approaches Bruce. For the first time in a long while, Hulk appears calm, peaceful even, but military helicopters are already approaching. The hunt isn't over. Knowing he can never stay, Hulk disappears into the darkness. 1 month later, General Ross sits alone in a bar, drowning his frustrations in alcohol. Then someone unexpected takes a seat beside him. Tony Stark, With a confident smile, Stark reveals that a new initiative is being assembled, a team of extraordinary heroes. And whether Ross likes it or not, they're going to need his help. And that's a wrap on today's recap. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a plot twist. Got a movie you want recapped? Drop it in the comments below. This is DX Movie Shorts. See you in the next one.